If you want your football team to be good, you have to be extremely defensive of your practice time, because practice is the number one way that you can affect the product you're putting on the field.
We're not going to get a second chance in the game.
Welcome back to the channel where we talk coaching, and more specifically, we talk coaching football. Now, trying hard to do these in one take, which is very difficult for me, because I often I don't speak real clearly when I'm put on the spot. I stutter a lot, I say the wrong word a lot, and I always want to get it right when I'm sitting here on camera, but I'm working hard at just doing it in one take, being myself, and not worrying so much about it being perfect. Now, I'm talking practice today because it's really top of mind for me. And it's top of mind because my entire fall has been traveling the country from Nebraska to Atlanta to Alabama, filming and watching practices. Now, I've done all that for Coach Ed. If you want to know more about Coach Ed, I'll put a link below on Coach Ed. But that's been my fall. And already for the last 10, 15 years of my life, I was traveling like crazy, watching lots of practices. At this point in my career, I personally don't know anyone else that has been to more practices than me. Been to a lot of practices. Now, all by nature because of what I've been pursuing through Chief Pigskin, but nonetheless, I've been there. And I'm watching team after team after team practice. So inevitably, as you watch that many people practice, you're going to pick up, like, some people are going to do things better than others. And it dawned on me, I think this is going to be my first book. I'm going to write a book on practice, the best practices of practice, because you've got to get this right. This is the number one way to affect how good your team will be. You're not going to win on your ideas. You can't out-idea someone. I guess if all other things are equal, you could out-idea someone, but it is much more likely that you're going to out-execute them. And you teach a team to execute in practice. Now, before I do that, the Mic'd Up that I just posted this week is here. You can, if that's available for members, so click that link below if you want to join, or if you're already a member, be sure to check out that practice from Oxford, Alabama. The Alabama guys really have their own unique style of practice. The second thing I want to make sure you know, hey, if you like the way that I coach, I've got a link below that links you to all the video series I've personally made, my offense, defense, right? You get to know how I like to do things. And the last thing is we just launched the Trap Life Clinic 26. So if you're a three-back guy like myself, I like keeping it under center and attacking from there. We got a great community of guys building, and you can find that link below. We've only got 90 seats available for this year's clinic. And so I'm hoping that you guys, if you have any interest, you'll join us there. It really is a great weekend. So let's talk practice, man. I mean, these are 4 things, 4 ways that you can make sure that your practice doesn't stink. Like I said, you need to be actively, year in and year out, every off season, looking at how do we practice and where can we get more out of our time. Because that's what's finite, your time. The time you're given is finite, and you need to maximize it in order to out-execute your opponents. Now, number one way, or the number one reason why your practice might stinks is change. There's way too much changing in your practice. Now, that can be, it really goes back to a clinic that I was at years and years ago with Mike Lawler, a very successful Northern Illinois coach, where he said, consistency is your greatest ally and inconsistency is your greatest enemy. Now, that quote comes from a very well-known horse trainer named Clint Anderson. But when it comes to training horses, consistency is your greatest ally. And when it comes to training your team, consistency is your greatest ally. And it's your greatest ally because you're wasting, number one, it's good for the kids. That routine, they begin to learn skills and develop over time. But the number 2 thing, maybe bigger, is that you're not wasting time. When your practice is consistent, you're not wasting time. These are things that are time killers. Look at these. Every time you have a new drill in practice, you have to take time to explain that drill. How does this drill rotate? How exactly should I hold this bag in this drill? All those little things. Where do we go? Where on the field, right? Is O-line time over here today? Or when we're doing this special drill, it's over here? All these things are seconds that turn into minutes that you're losing in practice. And when this is your routine, when your routine is to not have a routine, you are wasting valuable minutes that other teams are not. So you've got to find a way to be as consistent as possible with what drills you use all the way down to where those drills take place. Okay? So that's number one. Change. Change is killing your practice. You've got to have a routine and stick with that routine. Of course, there's my phone every time I say. Why do I even have that in here? Number two thing that is killing your practice is people standing around. Now, when people are standing around, I put this here, protecting your practice. You've got to be on the defense of this. And here's why you've got to really look, take time to evaluate. How often do we have kids standing around? We've got to protect our time and make sure that we are incredibly vigilant of finding and being aware when we have people standing around. We've got to minimize that. Absolutely. And I think every offseason, you as a staff should take time to evaluate how could we have less standing around. And here's why it's important. Number one, when you're standing around, you're wasting time. You're wasting valuable time that those kids could be doing something. Number two is that's time where those kids, it's a group of people that are not being developed as players. They're just not. They're standing around. I've been to a lot of practices where any one kid, maybe a less talented kid, could stand up, just stand around for up to half of the time that he's there. Well, the next reason is boredom, right? You want to keep people in your program, keep them active. You ever heard this at your school? Football's not fun? Yeah, you hear it. Well, that could be one of them, that they're bored. It's a lot of standing. We've got to be defensive about our practice time and being active, making sure kids are involved. And then the last thing, which might be the biggest piece of the puzzle, is that they don't feel insignificant. Like if you are a kid that just stands half the practice, it is very clear to you, this team does not need me, and I am not an important piece of the puzzle. So I remember I was just at a practice this fall. It was a volleyball practice, and the girls were talking, and one of the girls mentioned in conversation, they're having a little sit down discussing things as a team, and she mentioned this in passing, right? Being aware of our role, like knowing our role. It's important that your kids know their role, even if they are a backup, that there is importance to the role of being the backup, and we want to get those kids involved. So find a way. You got a group of men as a staff, sit around and think creatively about how you can get the kids more involved, even those less talented kids. Number 3 is your practice is reactive rather than proactive. Now, this comes from Roger Van de Zan. I've probably mentioned this several times. I was so impacted by this one line. It changed my program the next 10 years of my career after hearing this from Roger Van de Zan. Is that how many times do we struggle with X in a game and then turn around the next practice and that's what we work on, right? The fans are going to yell, oh, you can't tackle. You need to work on tackling. So, right, because you got ripped. Maybe you got beat 42-13. The other team had this stud tailback, made you look bad. You thought, the staff thought, we need to work more on tackling. And so the tackling time went from 14 minutes to 22 minutes, right? We thought we went and hit YouTube over the weekend and found 2 or 3 more drills. And we worked on that, right? We are reacting to what the performance was and practicing with that. You've got to make a plan in the summer, make a plan for building a complete team. Our team needs to be good at this, this, and this, right? And tackling is in there. So what does our team need to be good at? And build a plan for practicing it and then stick to the plan. Go execute the plan. Was tackling a part of the plan? Probably. Tackle the same amount of time. Don't tackle more weeks after you struggled and tackle less weeks after you smash somebody. That's silliness, and it makes your practice less effective. Going back to number 1. Why? Well, because things keep changing. How do you practice? Be consistent about how you practice. Number 4 I think, now this might be a little controversial. No, not controversial. You know, what's softer word than controversial? You might disagree. I think that the least effective time of practice is team. So, number 4 way you're killing your practice is you're spending too much time in team. Why would I say that? Well, because when you're in team, that's 11 on 11, team time, team O, team D. That there's one ball, one football when you play team. And when you play it with one ball, then there's really one main area of focus. Now, a very experienced staff does a good job making sure that his coach takes his staff, and I've got eyes everywhere. There's one ball, but I need eyes on all the different parts of this and make sure it's getting coached right now during this team time. But that's not the norm. I mean, that the elite staffs are doing that, but your average staff, what happens? Those assistants start gathering into clumps, right? All your coaches are friends. They start gathering up during team time. They're shooting a breeze, right? They're coaching some, but as your coaches gather together during practice, they are coaching less. There's nothing you can say that could change my mind. Okay, maybe there could be something. I can't think of anything right now that you could say that could change my mind. When your coaches begin to gather, their coaching effectiveness goes down. Okay, so we want to, and when we're in team time, that's when they gather the most. Okay, when we're in team, we have even more kids standing around. That's when you get the most amount of kids standing around generally. When you're in team, that's where the goals of team can become unclear. What is your goal? Are you trying to make these plays look good? Well, they're very likely to look good because you've got your best 11 playing against your second best 11, or in some cases, your third best 11. You know, I mean, the play should hit. It's going to hit. Right? I get it. Team time's necessary, but you've got to be on your guard how much you're using it, because the amount that you can focus narrows, and there's all this stuff going around on the outside that you're just going through motions. And it's a good chunk of time that you might be able to make better use of. So, in that last little bullet there, unclear goals equals a small amount of growth. And our goal is to get better. Right? So did you take 10 minutes during practice to run your base play, right? Maybe 10 minutes where you were working with the O-line on backside scooping, and 10 minutes where the front side was working on the point of attack there. And in those same 10 minutes, the backfield was working on what the backfield exchange looks like on that one run play. Well, maybe you don't even need to run that play during team. Why? You just worked on it for 10 minutes in pieces, which is way more effective than running it in team. So just be clear, why am I running team? Why is it necessary right now? Because I think there are parts that are necessary. I could do another video on that. Just make sure you know and your staff knows. You've taken time to discuss. Why are we running team? Why is it important to us? What do we want to focus on during this time? Okay, I've said my piece. Thank you for listening.